Um, what has happened at Temple Street is the abuse of vulnerable children. That abuse may have been motivated by a doctor or doctors who thought that they knew best, they were doing the best for their children, they didn't need to obey the rules. It may have been motivated by a hunt to maximise income through private health insurance. Regardless of the reason, it is abuse. It is abuse by individual doctors like Conor Green, who inserted the 3 metal springs, and there's other allegations of malpractice. But it's also abuse by individual doctors and individual wrongdoing that went undetected by the system. If it was not for a whistleblower, then the FOIs that the whistleblower prompted and the parliamentary questions, we wouldn't have had the internal review, we wouldn't have the Boston review, and we wouldn't have the HIPCR report, the NIAM report that is due, the report to the Medical Council. That is the scariest part of all of this, is that if it was not for a brave whistleblower, you could still have springs being inserted in new children today. There are real cultural and governance issues here in terms of how was this not spotted. One point weighed to me has been the CHI clinical director model, where one person sits over 12 specialities, unable to really keep an eye on what is happening. And we shouldn't treat the issue of unnecessary osteotomies on a massive and gross scale, unnecessary operations for hip dysplasia, as a separate issue from the malpractice of Conor Green. It was part of the same culture, a culture whereby there was bullying, there was intimidation, and where no one at Temple Street felt able to shout, stop. But what's that spring doing in that child? Why are we having all these operations on children who clearly don't need them? I mean, incredible. The draft report suggests 80% unnecessary hip operations at CHI, 60% at Kappa. And what does that look like for the families? I met with Louise and Colin the week before last. They were in Temple Street with their daughter Amelia. Originally they went, there was a possibility that she might need the osteotomy on one hip. Then thankfully they went to another doctor there and said, no, it should be fine, you don't need it. And then they went to a particular doctor who I won't name at this stage, who said, no, definitely need it, and you need it in both hips. The mother was really uneasy. She was uneasy with the manner of the doctor. She was uneasy with how eager he was to do the operation. She felt this isn't right. But obviously, if a situation where a doctor is telling you need to do it, she couldn't even bring her daughter to the hospital that day. And clearly, she kind of blames herself. She obviously should not blame herself at all. But then afterwards, Amelia, she lost weeks of play school. She was 6 before she could walk properly. This happened in 2018, by the way, the operation. She was slowest to do a cartwheel, last to ride a bike. Up until 7.5 would come in saying, oh, my legs are sore. She was discharged at 6 years of age. She'd been told that she would have annual checkups since 16 and then suddenly discharged at 6. And just a few months ago, when she was 9, I think Louise was watching it on Leaders' Questions and asked, do you ever have any problems still with your hips? And she said, oh, only when I walk up the stairs I get pain at the top of the stairs. The scariest part of the story, though, isn't what happened to Amelia. It's that her second daughter, Hannah, had an eye condition at the time, and when they were discharging Amelia, this doctor said, oh, I'd like to check out Hannah. The mother said, it's not necessary, she's been checked in the Coombe, and he was absolutely obsessed. He then logged into the CHI database, he looked at the scan himself, I'm not happy with this, she needs to get both hips done. She went back to the Coombe, the doctor said, no, that's a load of nonsense, she doesn't need any hips done, and thankfully Hannah did not get the operations. She's not included in the audit, because she's 2018 and the audit is 2021 to 2023. I would say every hip operation is going to need to be looked at in order for these parents to get the support. The other final point I'd make is that the NIAM report is going to be damning, I would say, in terms of Conor Green. But every surgery that Conor Green did, including on adults, needs now to be looked at. I have a horrifying case from an adult pressured into what seems to be an inappropriate surgery, and we need to broaden it as well as have a public inquiry.